The December wind cut through Willow Owens's wool coat like it was nothing. But she barely noticed as she stood at the railing overlooking the outdoor ice rink in Central Park, watching a man and a small boy stumble across the ice together. She had left her office early for the first time in months, driven by some restless energy she couldn't quite name. At 32, Willow had built her marketing firm from nothing into a powerhouse with 300 employees and clients that included Fortune 500 companies. But lately, the gleaming corner office and the endless meetings felt more like a cage than an achievement. So when her assistant had reminded her that she had no appointments after 3, Willow had grabbed her coat and walked out, ignoring the shocked expressions of her team. Now she stood watching this father and son, and something in her chest tightened. The man was tall, probably 6'2", with dark hair that curled slightly under his wool hat. He wore jeans and a jacket that had seen better days, and his skates looked like they might be older than the boy clinging to his hand. The child couldn't have been more than 5 or 6, bundled in a puffy coat that was slightly too big for him, his little legs wobbling as he tried to find his balance. "I got you, buddy," the man said, his voice carrying across the ice. "I got you. Just keep your knees bent, remember?" The boy's face was scrunched up in concentration, and then suddenly his feet went out from under him. Willow gasped, but the man caught him smoothly, lifting him back up with one strong arm. "Good try, Cooper. That was way better than last time." "I keep falling, Dad," the boy said, and Willow could hear the frustration in his small voice. "Yeah, you do," the man said matter-of-factly. "That's how you learn. You think I was good at skating the first time? I fell so many times my backside was bruised for a week." The boy giggled, a bright sound that made Willow smile despite herself. "Really? Really? Come on, let's try again. Remember, I won't let you go until you're ready." Willow watched them for another 20 minutes, mesmerized. The man never showed a hint of impatience, never raised his voice. When the boy fell, which was often, he helped him up with encouragement and gentle corrections. When the boy managed 3 shaky glides in a row, the man celebrated like his son had won an Olympic medal. Something about the scene made Willow's eyes sting. She thought of her own father, brilliant and distant, who had measured her worth in grades and achievements. She couldn't remember him ever teaching her anything with such patience and warmth. "They're sweet, aren't they?" Willow turned to find an elderly woman bundled in a purple coat standing beside her. "The Sterlings," the woman continued, nodding toward the ice. "They're here almost every Saturday. That's Tyler and his boy Cooper. Tyler works 2 jobs, I hear, but he always makes time for his son." "You don't see that much anymore." "No," Willow said softly. "You don't." The woman smiled at her and walked away, leaving Willow alone with her thoughts. She watched as Tyler finally led Cooper off the ice, the boy chattering excitedly about how many times he hadn't fallen that last round. Tyler was laughing, his face transformed by genuine joy, and Willow felt something shift inside her chest. She shook her head, pulling her coat tighter. This was ridiculous. She was standing in the cold watching strangers and getting emotional about it. She had reports to review, a strategy meeting to prepare for, a dinner with a potential client scheduled for tomorrow. She didn't have time for whatever this feeling was, but as she turned to leave, she found herself glancing back one more time. Tyler was kneeling in front of Cooper, tying the boy's regular shoes with careful attention, while Cooper rested his small hands on his father's shoulders for balance. The image burned itself into Willow's mind, following her all the way home to her luxury apartment that suddenly felt too empty and too cold. The following Saturday, Willow told herself she was going to the park for a run. She told herself she needed the fresh air, that she'd been cooped up in her office too much. She absolutely was not going to see if the father and son would be there again. But somehow her feet carried her to the ice rink, and somehow she found herself at the same spot at the railing, and somehow they were there again. Cooper was a little more confident this time, his falls less catastrophic, his smile wider. Tyler skated backward in front of him, hands outstretched and ready to catch, calling out encouragement and instructions. "Keep looking up, Coop. Don't look at your feet. Look at me." "That's it. You're doing great." Willow leaned against the railing, telling herself she'd leave in 5 minutes. 20 minutes later, she was still there, and that's when it happened. Cooper had just completed his longest unassisted glide yet, maybe 15 feet, and he was squealing with delight. Tyler was skating toward him with his arms spread wide, ready to scoop him up in celebration, when his skate hit a rough patch in the ice. Tyler twisted, trying to keep his balance while also making sure he didn't crash into Cooper, and ended up sprawled on the ice with an audible crack. Cooper's squeal turned into a cry of alarm. "Dad," Willow didn't think. She found the entrance to the rink and rushed across the ice in her boots, somehow not slipping despite having no business walking on ice. Several other skaters had stopped, forming a concerned circle. "I'm okay, buddy," Tyler was saying through gritted teeth, but he was pale and there was sweat on his forehead. "I'm okay, it's just my wrist. Come here." He tried to sit up with one arm, pulling Cooper close with the other. The boy was crying now, scared by his father's fall. "Let me help," Willow said, dropping to her knees beside them. Up close, Tyler was even more striking, with dark green eyes and a strong jaw shadowed with stubble. "I saw what happened. You need to get that wrist looked at." "I'm fine," Tyler said automatically, but his voice was strained. "Cooper, it's okay. Dad's okay." "You're not fine," Willow said firmly. "Your wrist is already swelling. You need an X-ray." "Listen, lady, I appreciate the concern, but I need to take care of my son, and I can't afford," he stopped abruptly, jaw clenching. Willow understood immediately. "The urgent care on 64th Street has a walk-in clinic. I'll take you both. No arguments." "I don't even know you," Tyler said, but there was less resistance in his voice now. The pain was clearly getting worse. "I'm Willow. Now you know me. Come on, let's get you both off the ice before you catch hypothermia on top of everything else." Getting Tyler off the ice was a team effort. 2 other men helped him to his feet while Willow held onto Cooper's hand. The little boy had stopped crying but was still sniffling, looking up at Willow with wide, uncertain eyes. "Your dad's going to be fine," she told him gently. "He just needs a doctor to make sure his wrist is okay. What's your name?" "Cooper," he whispered. "Hi, Cooper, I'm Willow." "That's a very brave face you're making. Your dad needs you to be brave right now, okay?" Cooper nodded seriously, and Willow felt her heart squeeze again. It took another 15 minutes to get their regular shoes back on. Tyler tried to do everything one-handed, his injured wrist cradled against his chest, but he was clumsy with pain. Willow found herself kneeling again, this time to help Cooper with his shoes while Tyler managed his own. "You really don't have to do this," Tyler said, but he sounded exhausted now. "I know," Willow said simply, "but I'm going to." Her car was in a parking garage 2 blocks away. Tyler tried to protest when he saw the sleek BMW, but Willow cut him off with a look. Getting Cooper settled in the back seat with his booster seat took some maneuvering, but Tyler refused to go to the hospital until his son was safely buckled in. The urgent care clinic was quiet for a Saturday afternoon. Willow walked in ahead of them, spoke quietly to the receptionist while pulling out her credit card, and by the time Tyler and Cooper reached the desk, everything was arranged. "Miss Owens already took care of the copay," the receptionist said cheerfully. "Mr. Sterling, if you'll just fill out these forms." Tyler stared at Willow, his jaw tight. "I can't let you do that." "You can and you will," Willow said. "You can pay me back if you want, but right now you need to see a doctor." For a moment they locked eyes. Tyler's were full of pride and pain and something else Willow couldn't quite identify. Then Cooper tugged on his father's good hand. "Dad, your wrist is really big now. It looks weird." Tyler looked down at his son and something in his expression softened. "Yeah, buddy, it does. Okay." "Thank you, Willow. Really. Thank you." The wait wasn't long. Willow sat with Cooper in the waiting room, discovering that he was 6 years old in 1st grade, and his favorite subject was art class. He told her about his teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, who let them use real paint on Fridays. He told her about his best friend Marcus, who could already read chapter books. He told her, in a quieter voice, that his mom had died when he was 3, and he didn't remember her very much, but he had pictures at home. Dad says she was really pretty and really nice, Cooper said, swinging his legs from the chair that was too big for him. He says I have her smile. I bet you do, Willow said, her throat tight. Your dad seems really nice too. He's the best dad in the whole world, Cooper said with absolute certainty. He works a lot, but he always makes time for me. That's what he says. He says I'm his priority. Willow had to look away for a moment, blinking hard. When was the last time anyone had made her a priority? When was the last time she'd felt like more than a business asset or a networking opportunity? Tyler emerged 45 minutes later with his wrist in a temporary splint. Fractured, he said, his mouth twisting. They want me to follow up with an orthoptist, but it should heal on its own with immobilization. 6 to 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks? Cooper's eyes went wide. But Dad, how are you going to work? Something passed across Tyler's face, a flash of worry quickly hidden. I'll figure it out, Coop. Don't worry about that, okay? That's grown-up stuff. But Willow had seen his expression, and she understood. Tyler worked 2 jobs, the elderly woman had said. Physical jobs, probably, given his build and his calloused hands. How was he supposed to work with a fractured wrist? Let me take you home, she said. Both of you. Tyler looked like he wanted to refuse, but he just nodded wearily. Cooper took his good hand, and they walked back to Willow's car in the fading afternoon light. The Sterling apartment was in Queens, in a building that had seen better decades, but was clean and well-maintained. Tyler directed her to a parking spot on the street, and they all climbed out. Cooper was starting to drag now, the excitement and fear of the day catching up with him. Thank you, Tyler said, and the sincerity in his voice made Willow's chest ache. Really, I don't know what I would have done without you today. You would have figured it out, Willow said, but I'm glad I could help. They stood there for a moment, and Willow felt an absurd reluctance to leave. She wanted to know more about this man and his son. She wanted to know how Tyler had ended up alone with a 6-year-old, what jobs he worked, what his favorite color was, everything. Can we see you again? Cooper asked suddenly, looking up at Willow with those wide eyes. You're nice. Dad doesn't have very many friends. Cooper, Tyler said, embarrassed, but Willow laughed. I'd like that, she said, and meant it. She pulled out her phone. Can I give you my number? In case you need anything while you're recovering, or if you just want to talk. Tyler hesitated, and Willow saw pride warring with practicality in his expression. Finally, he pulled out his own phone, battered and several generations old, and they exchanged numbers. Take care of that wrist, Willow said. And Cooper, keep being brave, okay? She drove home in a daze, her carefully ordered life feeling like it had tilted on its axis. That night, lying in her king-sized bed in her pristine apartment, she stared at Tyler's contact information in her phone and wondered what she was doing. She was a CEO. She had built her company through focus and determination and keeping her personal life separate from everything else. She didn't have time for dating, let alone for a single father with a fractured wrist and a 6-year-old son who looked at his dad like he hung the moon. But when she closed her eyes, she saw Tyler's patient smile as he helped Cooper up off the ice again and again. She saw the way he'd twisted to protect his son even while falling. She saw the fierce love in his eyes when he'd pulled Cooper close despite his own pain. Willow had never wanted children. She'd never even been sure she wanted a relationship. Her work was enough, she'd always told herself. But now she wasn't so sure. Sunday passed slowly. Willow went to her office because she always went to her office on Sundays, but she couldn't concentrate. She kept checking her phone, wondering if Tyler would call, wondering if she should call him, wondering when she had turned into a teenager with her first crush. Monday morning, she was in back-to-back meetings, and it wasn't until lunch that she saw the text message. Hey, it's Tyler. Just wanted to say thanks again for everything on Saturday. Cooper hasn't stopped talking about you. Hope you're having a good day." Willow stared at the message for a full minute before responding. "I'm so glad you texted. How's the wrist? Are you able to manage okay?" The response came quickly. "It's okay. Takes longer to do everything one-handed, but we're managing. Cooper's been very helpful." Before she could talk herself out of it, Willow typed, "Can I bring you both dinner tonight? I'd love to see how you're doing." There was a longer pause this time, and Willow's heart sank. She'd been too forward. She'd overstepped. But then, that would be really nice. Cooper would love it. Fair warning, though, our place is small and nothing fancy. "I don't care about fancy," Willow replied. "What time works for you?" They settled on 6:30, and Willow spent the rest of the afternoon in a state of distracted anticipation that made her assistant ask twice if she was feeling well. At 5, she left the office, ignoring the shocked looks again, and stopped at a family-style Italian restaurant to pick up lasagna, salad, and breadsticks. On impulse, she also stopped at a toy store and picked up a large art set with paints and brushes and thick paper, remembering what Cooper had said about art class. The Sterling apartment was on the 4th floor. Tyler answered the door looking tired but clean, his hair still damp from a shower, wearing jeans and a flannel shirt with the injured arm carefully cradled. Behind him, the apartment was indeed small, maybe 800 square feet total, but it was clean and warm and filled with evidence of Cooper's presence. Drawings covered the refrigerator, toy trucks lined one wall, and a bookshelf overflowed with picture books and early readers. Willow. Cooper came running from the back room, then skidded to a stop, suddenly shy. "Hi, Cooper," Willow said, smiling. "I brought dinner and something for you." Cooper's eyes went wide when he saw the art set. "For me, really? Really? Your dad told me you like art." "I didn't tell you that," Tyler said, surprised. Cooper did at the urgent care. "He told me all about Mrs. Rodriguez and painting on Fridays." Something soft crossed Tyler's face. "Thank you. You didn't have to do that." "I wanted to." Dinner was surprisingly comfortable. They sat at a small table in the kitchen area, Cooper between them, and talked about everything and nothing. Willow learned that Tyler worked construction during the day and did freelance carpentry at night. He'd been a union carpenter before his wife died, working on big projects, but he'd had to scale back to have more flexibility with Cooper. "The construction job is steady, but doesn't pay as well," Tyler explained, while Cooper was busy with a second helping of lasagna. "The carpentry brings in extra and lets me set my own hours, or it did. I don't know how I'm going to manage either of them with this wrist." "Do you have disability insurance?" Tyler's laugh was short and humorless. "I can barely afford health insurance." "Disability insurance is a luxury I can't manage." Willow wanted to fix it immediately, to throw money at the problem until it disappeared, but she could see the pride in Tyler's set jaw. This was a man who took care of himself and his son, who didn't ask for handouts. "What about light duty at the construction site?" she asked instead. "Surely there's something you could do one-handed, supervising or paperwork or planning." "Maybe," Tyler said, but he didn't sound hopeful. "My foreman's a good guy. I'll talk to him tomorrow." After dinner, Cooper showed Willow his room, a small space made cheerful with superhero posters and model cars. He pulled out a shoebox full of photos, showing her pictures of his mother, a pretty woman with dark hair and a warm smile. "Dad says I should always remember her," Cooper said seriously. "Even though I was really little when she died. He tells me stories about her all the time." Willow glanced at Tyler, who was standing in the doorway looking at his son with an expression of such love and sorrow that she had to look away. After Cooper was tucked into bed, Willow and Tyler sat on the small couch in the living room, careful to keep a respectful distance between them. The television was off, and the apartment was quiet except for the muffled sounds of the city outside. "He's an amazing kid," Willow said. "Yeah, he is." Tyler's voice was full of quiet pride. "He's the reason I get up every morning, the reason I work as hard as I do. I want him to have more than I had, you know. I want him to go to college to have choices." What about what you want? For yourself, I mean. Tyler looked at her, and in the soft lamplight, his eyes were very green. I have what I want. I have Cooper. Everything else is just details. Willow thought of her own life, the corner office and the luxury apartment and the impressive bank account. None of it had ever made her feel the kind of contentment she heard in Tyler's voice. Can I ask you something? Tyler said, and you can tell me if I'm out of line. Okay. Why are you here? I mean, you're clearly successful, clearly have your own life. Why are you spending your evening in Queens with a guy you just met and his kid? Willow took a breath, trying to find the right words. I saw you on the ice with Cooper. I saw the way you were with him, so patient and encouraging. And I just kept thinking that I'd never seen anything like that before. My parents weren't bad people, but they weren't warm. They didn't know how to just be with me, you know? Everything was about achievement and performance. Watching you with Cooper, it was like seeing something I didn't even know I was missing. Tyler was quiet for a long moment. That's the saddest thing anyone's ever said to me, he finally said. Every kid deserves that. Every kid deserves to feel like they're loved just for existing. Well, Cooper definitely has that. I try. Tyler ran his good hand through his hair. It's not always easy. Some days I'm so tired I can barely stand up, and he wants to play trucks or read books, and I have to find the energy somewhere. But then, I remember that these days won't last forever. One day, he'll be a teenager who doesn't want to hang out with his old man, so I try to be present now, while he still thinks I'm the best thing in the world. Willow felt tears prickling her eyes again. You're a good father, Tyler. I'm trying to be. He paused. Can I ask you something else? Sure. Are you seeing anyone? Willow's heart kicked into a higher gear. No, I don't really have time for dating. I run my own company and it takes up most of my life. What kind of company? Marketing and brand strategy. We have about 300 employees now, offices in 3 cities. It's grown faster than I ever expected. Tyler let out a low whistle. 300 employees, that's incredible. You must have started young. 25. I saw a gap in the market and went for it. It was scary and exciting and completely consumed my life for years. Still does, honestly. Do you love it? No one had ever asked her that before. They asked if it was successful, if it was profitable, if she was planning to expand. But no one asked if she loved it. I used to, Willow said slowly. I think I still do, but lately it feels different. Like I built this thing and now I'm trapped inside it. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. I felt that way at my old job. Good money, good benefits, but the hours were killing me and I barely saw Cooper. Something had to give. Do you regret it? The choice you made? Not for a second. Some days I worry about money, sure. But I get to have breakfast with my son every morning. I get to take him to school and pick him up. I get to be there when he needs me. That's worth more than any paycheck. They talked until almost 11, about everything from their childhoods to their favorite movies to their biggest fears. Willow learned that Tyler had grown up in a working-class family in Pennsylvania, that he'd met his wife, Sarah, in high school, that they'd moved to New York together chasing dreams of bigger opportunities. That Sarah had been a teacher, passionate about her work, and her death in a car accident had shattered Tyler's world. I didn't know how I was going to survive it, Tyler said quietly. But I had Cooper, 3 years old and asking for his mama, and I had to pull myself together for him. Some days that was the only thing that kept me going. I'd look at him and think, I can't fall apart. He needs me, so I didn't. That must have been so hard. Hardest thing I've ever done. But it taught me what really matters, you know? It's not the job or the money or any of that. It's the people you love and the time you have with them. Everything else is just noise. When Willow finally left, stepping out into the cold November night, she felt like a different person than the one who had arrived. Tyler walked her to the building entrance despite his injury, and they stood there for a moment, neither quite ready to say goodbye. Can I see you again? Willow asked. Not just to help. I'd like to see you again. Tyler smiled, and it transformed his whole face. I'd like that too. But fair warning, I'm a package deal. Cooper comes with me. I wouldn't have it any other way. The next few weeks fell into an unexpected rhythm. Willow found herself at the Sterling apartment 3 or 4 times a week, bringing dinner or groceries or just showing up to hang out. Cooper warmed to her quickly, showing her his schoolwork and his latest art projects, and teaching her how to play his favorite video games. Tyler was more reserved, clearly still navigating his feelings about accepting help, but gradually he relaxed. Willow learned that Tyler was funny and thoughtful and quietly intelligent. He read constantly, thick novels and biographies that he checked out from the library. He could fix almost anything, and the apartment was full of small touches he'd made, built-in shelves, and a clever fold-down desk for Cooper, a spice rack he'd crafted from reclaimed wood. She also learned that he was struggling more than he'd let on. The construction company had put him on light duty, but the pay was reduced. He couldn't take carpentry jobs with his injured wrist. The bills were piling up, and Willow could see the stress in the tightness around his eyes, the way he'd check his phone constantly, probably looking at his bank balance. One evening, after Cooper was in bed, Willow made a decision. "I want to offer you something, and I need you to hear me out before you say no." Tyler looked wary immediately. "Willow, just listen. My company needs a facilities manager, someone to oversee maintenance and repairs at all our offices, manage contractors, that kind of thing. It's a salaried position with benefits, full health insurance, dental, vision, 401k matching, the works. The pay is $75,000 a year to start." Tyler stared at her. "Willow, I can't. Let me finish. It's a real position. I've been meaning to hire someone for months, but I keep putting it off because the hiring process is a nightmare. You're qualified. You have years of construction and carpentry experience. You're reliable and hardworking, and I know you'll do a good job. This isn't charity, Tyler. This is me needing someone and you needing a job, that's all." "That's not all," Tyler said. His voice was quiet but firm. "You're offering me this because you feel sorry for me." "I'm offering you this because you're qualified and I trust you," Willow countered. "Do I want to help you? Yes. But I wouldn't put my company at risk by hiring someone who couldn't do the job. You can do this job, Tyler, better than most people I could hire off the street." They stared at each other, the tension thick between them. Finally, Tyler said, "What about Cooper? I need flexibility. I need to be able to take him to school and pick him up. The job has flexible hours. As long as the work gets done and you're available for emergencies, I don't care if you work 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever schedule works for you. And when my wrist heals, what then? Then you keep doing the job you were hired to do. Tyler, I need someone long-term. This isn't a temporary position." Tyler was quiet for a long time, his jaw working. Finally, he said, "Why are you doing this, really?" Willow took a breath. "Because I care about you, both of you. Because I've spent the last few weeks being happier than I've been in years, and it's because of you and Cooper. Because I want to help, and this is something I can actually do. Is that honest enough?" Something in Tyler's expression shifted. "You care about me?" "Yes," Willow said simply. "I do. More than I probably should, given that we've only known each other a few weeks, but I can't help it." Tyler moved closer, and suddenly the small space between them felt charged with possibility. "I care about you too," he said quietly. "I keep telling myself it's too fast, that I should be more careful, especially with Cooper. But when you're here, everything feels right. When you're not here, I'm looking at my phone waiting for you to text. It's been a long time since I felt this way about anyone. Since Sarah." Willow asked gently, "Since Sarah?" And it feels scary and exciting and like I'm betraying her memory, even though I know logically that she'd want me to be happy, that she'd want Cooper to have more people in his life who love him. "I do love him," Willow said. "He's an amazing kid, and I—" She trailed off, but Tyler stepped even closer, now just inches away. "And you what?" "And I think I'm falling in love with you," Willow whispered, "which is crazy, I know. It's too fast, and our lives are so different, and I don't know anything about being with someone who has a child, but I can't stop thinking about you. About both of you." Tyler lifted his good hand to her face, his palm warm against her cheek. "It's not crazy, or if it is, I'm crazy too. I think about you all the time, Willow. When I'm lying in bed at night, when I'm making Cooper breakfast, when I'm doing absolutely anything. You've turned my whole world upside down." "Is that a good thing?" Willow asked, hardly breathing. "Yeah," Tyler said, smiling. "It's a very good thing." He kissed her then, soft and sweet and careful, like she was something precious. Willow felt her eyes sting with tears because it had been so long since anyone had kissed her like that, like she mattered beyond what she could do or provide. When they pulled apart, they were both smiling. "So," Tyler said, "about that job offer. Take the job, Tyler. Please, let me help you. Let me be part of your life, yours and Cooper's." Tyler searched her face for a long moment, and then he nodded. "Okay, yes, I'll take the job, and not just because I need it, although I do. But because I want to see where this goes, and it'll be easier if I'm not stressed about money all the time." "Good," Willow said, relief flooding through her. "That's good. You can start as soon as your wrist heals enough to work safely. In the meantime, I'm putting you on the payroll as a consultant. You can review our current facilities contracts from home, get familiar with our systems. Willow, that's the deal. Take it or leave it." Tyler laughed and kissed her again, longer this time, and Willow thought that maybe, just maybe, she was exactly where she was supposed to be. 2 weeks later, Willow and Tyler went on their first official date. Tyler's mother came from Pennsylvania to watch Cooper, a sturdy woman in her 60s who hugged Willow and whispered, "He hasn't been this happy in years. Thank you for that." Tyler took her to a small Italian restaurant in Brooklyn. Nothing fancy but charming, with checkered tablecloths and candles in wine bottles. They held hands across the table and talked about everything and nothing, and Willow felt like a teenager on her first date, nervous and excited and unable to stop smiling. "I need to tell you something," Tyler said over dessert. "About Sarah." "Okay," Willow said carefully. "I loved her. She was my first love, my best friend. Losing her nearly destroyed me, but I've been thinking a lot these past few weeks, and I realized something. Sarah would have liked you. She would have appreciated how you jumped in to help that day at the ice rink. How you've been with Cooper, not trying to replace her but just being yourself, and she would have wanted me to be happy, to live fully, not just exist for Cooper's sake." Willow squeezed his hand. "Thank you for telling me that. I want you to know that this is real for me. That I'm not looking for a mother for Cooper or someone to solve my problems. I'm here because you make me feel alive again. Because when I'm with you, I remember who I used to be before everything fell apart. You make me want to be better, to do more." "You make me feel the same way," Willow said. "Before I met you, my life was my work. That was it. I was successful, sure, but I was lonely and I didn't even know it. You and Cooper, you've shown me what I was missing. What life can be like when you let people in." They walked through Brooklyn after dinner, bundled against the December cold, and ended up at the Brooklyn Bridge. Standing there with the city lights reflecting on the water, Tyler pulled Willow close and kissed her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. "I'm falling in love with you," he said against her hair. "Completely and totally." "I'm already there," Willow whispered back. "I love you, Tyler Sterling." Christmas came fast. Willow had always treated the holiday as an obligation, sending expensive gifts to her parents and taking a few days off to catch up on work from home. But this year was different. Cooper made her a card at school, covered in glitter and stickers, with "To Willow Love Cooper" written in careful letters. Tyler gave her a small wooden box he'd made, inlaid with different types of wood in an intricate pattern, finished to a silky smoothness. Inside was a note, "For keeping all your important things. Love, T." Willow had never received a more meaningful gift. She'd bought Cooper a ridiculous amount of art supplies and a few toys he'd mentioned wanting. For Tyler, she'd gotten a new set of professional carpentry tools and a leather jacket she'd seen him eyeing in a shop window, soft and perfectly his style. "This is too much," Tyler protested, but he was smiling as he tried on the jacket. Nothing is too much, Willow said. Not for you too. They spent Christmas Day at the Sterling apartment, making pancakes for breakfast and watching Cooper tear through his presents with 6-year-old enthusiasm. Tyler's mother was there too, and she regaled Willow with stories about Tyler as a child while he groaned and tried to change the subject. In the afternoon, they all walked to Central Park. The ice rink was crowded with holiday skaters, and Cooper tugged on Willow's hand. "Can we skate? All of us. Dad's wrist is almost better now." Tyler flexed his hand, now out of the splint and wrapped in a compression bandage. "I think I could manage some slow skating. What do you say, Willow? Want to see me fall on my face?" "I'd rather see you not fall on your face," Willow said, laughing. "But yes, let's skate." Getting skates for everyone took a while, and Willow discovered she was terrible at skating, far worse than 6-year-old Cooper. But Tyler held her hand and guided her around the ice with infinite patience, the same way he'd guided Cooper weeks earlier, and Willow felt absurdly happy. "Look at me," Cooper called, doing a wobbly spin in the middle of the ice. "I'm really good now." "You're amazing," Willow called back. Tyler pulled her close, right there on the ice with people skating around them. "This is perfect," he said. "Right here, right now. This is everything I want." "Me too," Willow said, and kissed him while Cooper made exaggerated gagging noises and Tyler's mother laughed from the sidelines. January brought new challenges. Tyler officially started his new position at Willow's company, and while he was excellent at the work, managing contractors and planning maintenance schedules, there was tension too. Some employees questioned whether he'd gotten the job solely because he was dating the CEO. Tyler overheard a comment in the break room and came home tight-lipped and angry. "They think I'm your charity case," he told Willow that evening. Cooper was at a playdate, giving them rare time alone. "They think you hired me because we're together, not because I'm actually qualified." "Who said that?" Willow demanded, furious on his behalf. "It doesn't matter. What matters is that they're going to question every decision I make. They're going to assume I have special treatment. You are qualified, Tyler, more than qualified. You're doing excellent work." "I know that." "You know that. But they don't see it that way. They see the CEO's boyfriend getting handed a cushy job." It was the first time Tyler had used the word boyfriend, and under different circumstances, Willow would have been thrilled, but she could see how much this was eating at him. "What do you want to do?" she asked. "Because if you want to find a different job, I'll understand. I never want you to feel like people don't respect you." Tyler was quiet for a long time. Finally, he said, "I want to prove them wrong. I want to do this job so well that no one can question whether I deserve to be there. But I need you to let me do that. No special treatment, no cutting me slack. If I mess up, you need to tell me. I need to earn their respect." "Okay," Willow agreed. "We'll keep our relationship and work separate. At the office, you're just another employee. I'll be professional, and you'll prove you belong there." It wasn't easy. Willow was used to making all the decisions, and stepping back to let Tyler handle his department without interference went against every instinct she had. But gradually, the skepticism faded. Tyler was good at his job, solving problems that had plagued the company for months, building relationships with contractors that saved them money and improved response times. People started coming to him with questions and trusting his answers. 3 months into his employment, Tyler's direct supervisor, a no-nonsense woman named Patricia who'd been with the company for 10 years, stopped by Willow's office. "I wanted you to know that hiring Tyler Sterling was one of the best decisions you've made," she said bluntly. "I was skeptical at first, I'll admit, but he's exceeded every expectation. The facilities department runs better than it has in years. You should give him a raise." Willow smiled. "I'll take that under advisement." That evening, she told Tyler what Patricia had said, and the relief on his face was palpable. "I've been working so hard," he admitted. "Trying to prove myself. It's good to know it's paying off." "You never had to prove anything to me," Willow said softly. "But I understand why you needed to prove it to yourself and everyone else. I'm proud of you, Tyler. So proud. He pulled her close, and they stood there in his small kitchen, wrapped in each other's arms while Cooper played trucks in the living room, and Willow thought that this right here was everything she'd ever wanted without knowing she wanted it. Spring brought unexpected complications. Willow's parents announced they were coming to New York for a visit. She hadn't told them about Tyler and Cooper yet, wasn't sure how to explain that their ambitious daughter, who'd always been married to her work, was now dating a widowed father and spending most of her free time playing board games and helping with homework. "You have to tell them eventually," Tyler pointed out when Willow confessed her anxiety. "Unless you're planning to hide me and Cooper forever." "I'm not hiding you," Willow protested. "I just know how they are. They'll have opinions. They'll judge. They'll try to tell me I'm ruining my career by being distracted. Are they right? Am I a distraction? No, you're the opposite. You make me better at everything. You make me want to be better." "Then tell them that." Easier said than done. Willow's parents arrived on a Friday evening, settling into their hotel with the quiet disapproval they seemed to carry everywhere. Dinner was at an expensive restaurant in Manhattan, and Willow brought Tyler and Cooper. Her mother's eyebrows went up when she saw them. Her father's expression went carefully neutral. Cooper, oblivious to the tension, shook their hands politely and told them about his school project on butterflies. "So, Tyler," Willow's father said once they were seated and orders were placed. "Willow tells us you work for her company." "That's right, sir. I manage facilities and maintenance across all 3 offices. And before that, construction and carpentry, I've been working with my hands since I was 18. Willow saw her parents exchange a look. She knew what they were thinking, that Tyler wasn't educated enough, wasn't sophisticated enough, wasn't good enough for their daughter. "Tyler is wonderful at his job," Willow said, her voice firm. "He's improved our operations significantly, but more importantly, he makes me happy, really happy." "Happier than I've ever been." Her mother sipped her wine. "Happiness is lovely, dear, but it's not everything. You've worked so hard to build your company. I'd hate to see you lose focus." "I haven't lost focus. If anything, I'm more focused now. But I've also learned that there's more to life than work. That relationships matter, that love matters." "Love?" Her father's eyebrows rose. "Willow, you've known this man for what, a few months?" 5 months, Willow said. "And yes, love, I love Tyler, I love Cooper. They're part of my life now, and I need you to accept that." Cooper, who'd been coloring on the paper placemat the restaurant had provided, looked up at Willow with wide eyes. It was the first time she'd said she loved him directly, and his face broke into a huge smile. "I love you too, Willow," he said simply, and went back to coloring. Something in Willow's mother's expression softened. She looked at Cooper, then at Tyler, then at Willow. "You're serious about this?" "Completely serious. More serious than I've been about anything except my company." "These are good people, Mom. They've made my life richer and fuller. I hope you can be happy for me." The dinner was still somewhat strained, but by dessert, Willow's parents were asking Cooper about school and listening to Tyler talk about a restoration project he was planning. It wasn't perfect acceptance, but it was a start. Later, after they'd dropped Cooper off with Tyler's mother and were alone in Willow's apartment, Tyler pulled her close. "That was brave, what you did tonight, standing up for us." "It wasn't brave, it was necessary. You and Cooper are too important to hide or apologize for. Your parents didn't seem thrilled. They'll come around, and if they don't, that's their loss. I'm not giving you up, Tyler. Not for them, not for anyone." Tyler kissed her then, deep and passionate, and they ended up in Willow's bedroom for the first time. Making love with Tyler was different than anything Willow had experienced before, tender and intense and completely overwhelming. Afterward, lying tangled together in her sheets, Tyler traced patterns on her shoulder. "Move in with me," he said quietly. "You and Cooper move into my apartment, or I'll move in here if you prefer, though I don't know how Cooper and I will fit in this fancy place, but I want us to be together." Really together, not just visiting each other. Willow's heart raced. It was fast, maybe too fast, but when had anything between them been slow? From the moment she'd seen him on the ice with Cooper, her life had been accelerating toward this. "My apartment is too fancy," she agreed. "Too cold. Too much like a showroom, but your place is too small for all three of us. What if we found somewhere new? Somewhere that's ours, that we choose together?" Tyler smiled against her hair. "I like that idea. Somewhere with a bedroom for Cooper and space for my tools, and maybe an actual dining room so we're not eating crammed around that tiny table. And a real kitchen where we can cook together. And a spot near a good school for Cooper." They stayed up late that night, planning their future, and Willow felt a peace she'd never known before. This was right. They were right, finding an apartment that met all their needs and fit Tyler's budget, because he insisted on paying his share, took weeks. They finally settled on a 3-bedroom place in a family-friendly neighborhood in Brooklyn, with a park nearby and good schools. It had big windows and hardwood floors and enough space that they didn't feel cramped, but not so much that it felt empty. Moving in together was an adjustment. Cooper had never shared his space with anyone but his father, and suddenly there was Willow, reorganizing the kitchen and setting up her home office in the spare bedroom. Tyler had never lived with anyone since Sarah, and he sometimes got quiet, working through emotions he didn't quite know how to express. But mostly it was good. It was coming home to Cooper's excited chatter about his day. It was cooking dinner together, while Tyler told terrible jokes that made Willow groan and Cooper giggle. It was bedtime stories read in funny voices and Saturday morning pancakes, and the quiet intimacy of building a life together. Summer came, and with it, new challenges. Cooper started asking questions about Willow's place in their family. "Are you going to be my new mom?" he asked one evening while Willow was helping him with a puzzle. Willow's heart clenched. "I don't want to replace your mom, Cooper. She loved you so much, and she'll always be your mom." "But you love me too, right? You said so at the restaurant." "I do love you, so much." Cooper was quiet for a moment, studying the puzzle piece in his hand. "Marcus at school has a stepmom. He says she's not his real mom, but she's still really nice and he loves her. Could you be like that?" Willow looked at Tyler, who was standing in the doorway listening. He nodded slightly, giving her permission to answer honestly. "I would love to be like that," Willow said gently, "if that's what you want. I can't be your mom, but I can be someone who loves you and takes care of you and is always here for you. Like a bonus mom." "Exactly like a bonus mom." Cooper nodded, satisfied, and went back to his puzzle. But Willow's hands were shaking, overwhelmed by the responsibility and trust this little boy was placing in her. That night, after Cooper was asleep, Tyler found her on the balcony of their apartment, staring out at the city lights. "You okay?" he asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "I'm terrified," Willow admitted. "What if I mess this up? What if I'm not good enough? I don't know how to be a mother, Tyler. I never planned for this." "You're already good enough. You're more than good enough. Do you know what Cooper told me last week? He said that before you came, he was sometimes lonely because I worked so much. But now he's not lonely anymore because when I'm working, you're there. You play with him and help him with homework and just listen to him. That's all he needs, Willow. That's all any kid needs. Someone who's present and who cares." "I do care, so much it scares me. Being scared means you're taking it seriously, that you understand how important it is. That's a good thing." Willow turned in his arms, studying his face in the dim light. "Do you ever think about getting married?" "Having more kids?" Tyler's expression went serious. "I think about it all the time. I think about making this official, making us a real family in every way. I think about giving Cooper siblings, about watching you be pregnant, about building a whole life together. Is that something you want?" A year ago, I would have said no without hesitation. But now, yes, I want all of that, with you. Tyler kissed her, sweet and slow. "Good, because I'm planning to ask you properly. I want to do this right, Willow. You deserve that." 2 weeks later, Tyler took Willow back to Central Park, to the ice rink where they'd first met. It was closed for the summer, the ice replaced by roller skating, but the memories were still there. "This is where my life changed," Tyler said, holding both her hands. I was teaching Cooper to skate, just trying to be a good dad and give him a nice day, and then you showed up. You jumped in to help without hesitation. You saw us, really saw us, and you didn't turn away. You've been showing up ever since for me and for Cooper. You've made our lives better in every possible way. He dropped to one knee, pulling a small box from his pocket. Willow's heart stopped. Willow Owens, I love you. Cooper loves you. We want you in our lives forever, officially and completely. Will you marry me? The ring was simple and beautiful, a single diamond on a white gold band. Willow was crying, couldn't stop crying, but she managed to nod. Yes, yes, of course yes. Tyler slipped the ring on her finger and stood, pulling her into a kiss while scattered tourists applauded. When they pulled apart, Willow was laughing through her tears. Cooper helped me pick the ring, Tyler admitted. He has excellent taste. He knows. He's been asking when I was going to ask you for weeks. He's very invested in making sure you don't change your mind about us. Never, Willow said fiercely. I'm never changing my mind about you two. You're stuck with me now. They told Cooper that evening, and his excitement was explosive. He jumped around the living room, shouting that Willow was going to be his bonus mom for real, that they were going to be a real family. Then he stopped suddenly, looking worried. Does this mean I can call you Mom? Or is that not okay? Willow knelt down so she was at his eye level. You can call me whatever feels right to you, Cooper. If you want to call me Mom, that's okay. If you want to keep calling me Willow, that's okay too. Whatever makes you comfortable. Cooper thought about it seriously. I think maybe both. Willow Mom, is that weird? That's not weird at all, Tyler said, his voice thick with emotion. That's perfect. Planning a wedding while running a company and adjusting to family life was chaotic, but Willow had never been happier. They decided on a small ceremony in October, just family and close friends. Cooper would be the ring bearer, taking his duties very seriously. Tyler's mother was over the moon, immediately bonding with Willow over wedding planning. Even Willow's parents seemed to have warmed to the idea, especially after spending a day with Cooper and seeing how happy their daughter was. The night before the wedding, Willow had dinner with just Tyler and Cooper, a quiet moment before the chaos of the ceremony. They ordered Chinese food and ate sitting on the floor of their living room because Cooper insisted it was more fun that way. Tomorrow everything becomes official, Tyler said, watching Cooper build a tower out of fortune cookies. But I want you to know that in my heart, you've been my wife for months now. Tomorrow is just the paperwork catching up. Best paperwork I'll ever sign, Willow said, leaning against his shoulder. The wedding was perfect. Small and intimate, held in a garden in Brooklyn with fall leaves drifting down around them. Willow wore a simple cream dress, and Cooper wore a suit that Tyler had helped him pick out, complete with a bow tie that he kept trying to straighten. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, Cooper shouted, "No way, this is the best thing ever," and everyone laughed. The kiss was sweet and full of promise. Walking back down the aisle as husband and wife, with Cooper between them holding both their hands, Willow felt a completeness she'd never known existed. The reception was at a nearby restaurant, nothing fancy, but filled with love and laughter. Tyler's mother gave a tearful speech about how proud Sarah would be to see Tyler happy again. Willow's father, surprisingly, stood up and admitted that he'd been wrong to doubt their relationship, that it was clear Tyler was exactly who Willow needed. But the best moment came at the end of the night, when Cooper was falling asleep in his chair and Tyler carried him out to the car. Willow walked beside them, her new husband and her son, and thought about how her life had transformed in less than a year. She'd gone from a lonely CEO who lived for her work to a wife and mother with a family that made every day meaningful. It hadn't been what she'd planned, but it was so much better than anything she could have imagined. Life settled into a new normal after the wedding. Willow kept running her company, but she was more strategic about her time now, delegating more and leaving the office at reasonable hours. Tyler thrived in his position, eventually moving up to director of operations when his supervisor retired. Cooper flourished with two parents who adored him, his confidence growing every day. A year into their marriage, Willow brought up the conversation they'd had on the balcony. "Do you still think about having more kids?" They were in bed, the apartment quiet around them. Tyler's hand found hers under the covers. "Do you?" "I do. I think Cooper would be an amazing big brother, and I want to experience all of it with you. Pregnancy and midnight feedings and first steps, all of it." "Then let's do it," Tyler said simply. "Let's expand our family." Getting pregnant took time, and there were months of disappointment and tears. But finally, on a cold January morning, Willow took a test that came back positive. Tyler cried when she told him, holding her close and whispering how much he loved her, telling Cooper was special. He was 7 now, more mature and aware. When they explained that he was going to be a big brother, his eyes went wide. "Really? A real baby?" "A real baby," Willow confirmed. "You're going to have to help us a lot. Being a big brother is an important job." Cooper took the responsibility seriously, talking to Willow's growing belly and helping prepare the nursery. He picked out stuffed animals and insisted on reading stories to the baby, his small voice earnest as he explained the plot of his favorite picture books. The pregnancy was harder than Willow expected, the exhaustion and nausea more intense than she'd prepared for. But Tyler was there every step of the way, taking over more of the household duties and making sure she rested. Cooper helped too, bringing her water and crackers and patting her hand when she felt sick. "It's okay, Willow Mom," he'd say seriously. "The baby needs you to rest so it can grow big and strong." Their daughter was born in September, a tiny perfect thing with Tyler's green eyes and Willow's nose. They named her Emma Sarah, honoring the woman who'd made Tyler the father he was. Cooper cried when he first held her, so gentle and careful that Willow's heart nearly burst. "She's so small," he whispered. "I'm going to take care of her forever." And he did. Cooper was the best big brother Emma could have asked for, always patient, always kind. He'd make her laugh with silly faces and help when she was fussy. As Emma grew from a baby to a toddler, Cooper was her constant companion, teaching her to stack blocks and color and eventually to read. Watching Tyler with Emma was its own joy. He was just as patient with her as he'd been with Cooper on the ice that first day, the same gentle encouragement and unconditional love. And watching Cooper teach Emma things, using the same patient tone his father had used with him, made Willow understand how love multiplied through generations. 2 years after Emma was born, Willow made a big decision. She promoted her second-in-command to CEO and moved herself to an advisory role, working part-time from home. The company was stable and successful, and she trusted her team. But more importantly, she'd learned what truly mattered. "Are you sure about this?" Tyler asked when she told him her plan. "You built that company from nothing. It's your legacy." "Emma and Cooper are my legacy," Willow said. "The company will be fine without me running it day to day, but our kids won't be little forever. I want to be there for every moment I can be. I want to volunteer in Cooper's classroom and take Emma to the park. I want to have family dinners every night and help with homework. I want the life you showed me was possible." Tyler pulled her close. "I love you. Have I mentioned that lately?" "You mention it about 20 times a day," Willow said, smiling, "but I never get tired of hearing it." Life wasn't perfect. Cooper struggled in 4th grade math, requiring patient tutoring from Tyler. Emma went through a terrible twos phase that tested everyone's patience. Willow and Tyler sometimes argued about money or schedules or whose turn it was to handle the school pickup. But they worked through it together, always coming back to the love that had brought them together. On their 5th wedding anniversary, they went back to Central Park, to the ice rink where everything had started. Cooper was 11 now, confident on skates, and helping 4-year-old Emma wobble around the ice. Willow and Tyler stood at the railing, holding hands just like Willow had stood alone all those years ago. "Do you ever regret it?" Willow asked. "Taking a chance on a stranger who showed up out of nowhere." Tyler looked at her like she was crazy. "Regret it?" Willow, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Well, second best after Cooper, third best after Emma, but top 3 for sure." Willow laughed and shoved him gently. "Gee, thanks. I mean it though. That day when I fell and fractured my wrist, I thought it was the worst luck in the world. I didn't know how I was going to manage, how I was going to work, how I was going to take care of Cooper. And then you showed up like some kind of guardian angel and changed everything. You didn't just help us. You loved us. You chose us when you could have chosen anything. That's not something I'll ever take for granted." "You made me better," Willow said. "Before you, I was successful but empty. You showed me what it means to really live, to really love. You and Cooper, and now Emma, you're everything." They kissed while their children squealed and skated on the ice below them, and Willow thought about how much had changed since that December day years ago. She'd been a lonely CEO with no idea what she was missing. Now she was a wife, a mother, a partner in the truest sense of the word. Cooper had his own friends now, busy with soccer and school activities, but he always made time for family dinners. He still called Willow his bonus mom, and it never failed to make her heart swell with love. He'd recently told her that he barely remembered life before she came along, that she'd always felt like his real mom even though he knew about Sarah. "Do you think Mom would like Willow?" He'd asked Tyler one night when he thought Willow was out of earshot. "I know she would," Tyler had said firmly. "Your mom loved you more than anything in the world, and she'd be happy that you have someone else who loves you just as much. That's all she ever wanted, for you to be loved and safe and happy." Emma, too young to remember a time before Willow, simply accepted that she had a mom and dad and big brother who adored her. She was fearless and funny, with Tyler's confidence and Willow's determination. Watching her grow was a daily miracle. Eventually, they left the ice rink and walked through the park, Emma on Tyler's shoulders and Cooper walking between them, tall enough now that he didn't need to hold hands, but sometimes still reaching for Willow's anyway. They stopped for hot chocolate at a vendor, crowding around a small table while Emma got marshmallow all over her face and Cooper told elaborate stories about his day at school. This, Willow thought, watching her family laugh and talk and simply be together. This is everything. Years continued to pass. Cooper grew into a teenager, tall and lanky like his father, with the same patient kindness. He talked about becoming a teacher, wanting to help kids the way his parents had helped him. Emma started school, creative and bold, already showing artistic talent that Tyler encouraged by setting up a small studio space in their apartment. Willow's company continued to thrive under its new leadership, and she stayed involved enough to feel connected but not consumed. Tyler moved up again at work, now overseeing operations for the entire company, but he never lost sight of what mattered most. He coached Emma's soccer team and helped Cooper study for his SATs, and made sure they had family dinner together at least 5 nights a week. On what would have been Sarah's 40th birthday, Tyler took Cooper to visit her grave, something they did every year. When they came home, Cooper hugged Willow extra tight. "Thank you," he said quietly, 17 now and almost as tall as his father, "for loving us, for choosing us. For being exactly what we needed." Willow's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you for letting me love you, for making space for me and your family. I'm the lucky one, Cooper. Never doubt that." That evening, after the kids were in bed, Tyler found Willow in their bedroom, looking at the wooden box he'd made her all those years ago. Inside were ticket stubs from their first movie together, photos from their wedding, drawings Cooper and Emma had made, and the small heart-shaped stone Emma had given her last Mother's Day. "Building a collection?" Tyler asked, wrapping his arms around her waist from behind. "Building a life," Willow corrected, leaning back against him. "The best life I could have imagined. Any regrets about leaving the corporate world behind?" "Not a single one. I still consult, I'm still successful in my own way, but more importantly, I'm happy. Really, truly happy. I have you and Cooper and Emma. I have family dinners and school plays and soccer games. I have bedtime stories and lazy Sundays and all the tiny, perfect moments that make life worth living. That's worth more than any corner office or any amount of money. Tyler turned her in his arms, looking into her eyes with the same intensity he'd had that day in the urgent care clinic when everything was new and uncertain. I love you, Willow Sterling. Today, tomorrow, always. I love you too, Willow said. Thank you for teaching your son to skate that day. Thank you for falling. Thank you for letting me help. Thank you for every single moment that led us here. Best wrist fracture I ever had, Tyler said, and Willow laughed, the sound filling their bedroom with joy. Outside, the city hummed with life. Millions of people going about their days, chasing their dreams and building their own stories. But inside this apartment in Brooklyn, in this small space filled with love and laughter and the evidence of a life well lived, Willow had everything she'd never known she needed. She'd been a CEO who thought success meant power and money and influence. But now she knew better. Success was Tyler's hand in hers. Success was Cooper's accomplishments and Emma's laughter. Success was family dinners and bedtime rituals and choosing love over everything else. Years from now, when Emma was grown and Cooper had his own family, Willow knew she'd look back on this time as the best of her life. Not the years when she was building her company or making her first million or seeing her name in business magazines. But these years, right now, when her family was whole and her heart was full, and every day brought new reasons to be grateful. She'd gone to the park that December day on a whim, restless and unsatisfied without understanding why. And she'd found Tyler and Cooper, struggling but together, teaching each other patience and love and perseverance. She'd fallen completely for both of them, the man and his son, and in doing so, she'd found herself. That was the real gift Tyler had given her. Not just his love or his family, but the understanding that she was worthy of being loved just for existing. That she didn't have to achieve or perform or prove herself. That she could simply be Willow, wife and mother and partner, and that was enough, more than enough. It was everything.